Being said, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Paul Bradbury. I'm going to read his introduction because I think it's frankly hilarious, and I'm just going to read it. But Paul, I'm not going to read it like you sent it to me. I'm going to read it like this. Paul describes himself as a fat Brit born in the rain in Manchester, who swapped it in for a life on Europe's sunniest island of Var via Somaliland. He says he's a failed entrepreneur, but he keeps on trying, looking to effect positive change by highlighting positivity as well as constructive criticism. That's an interesting one, with particular emphasis on digital nomads, entrepreneurship, medical tourism, and sensible tourism strategies. Personally, just me talking here, I think Paul is a maverick and someone I admire because he just speaks his darn mind and isn't afraid to challenge the status quo. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Dude, you remind me of me in that I don't give a F anymore what people think. I just say it. We need more Pauls in the world. So Paul, don't let me overtalk here. I'm going to leave the stage to you. Go.
I've got nothing to say after that. Thanks very much for the introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here. I feel a little bit old, but I decided to talk today because maybe I have something to contribute in a different way. I'm 54 years old. I've been a blogger for about 12 years or so. And I live in Croatia, and I talk a lot about Croatia. And 10 months ago, one of my clients called me and he said, come for lunch. And he's a friend as well. He's a great guy. He's very, very successful in the IT world, the tech world and so on. And he hired me as a writer because he said to me, you are the best writer I've ever come across. You can take a subject and you can write about it. And even if you know nothing about the subject, you're somebody that can actually bring out personality in an article. And so I want you to write 30 articles on NFTs, which was a subject about which I knew absolutely zero. And he said, not a problem. I'm going to tell you what I need, and you're going to write about these and so on. And so we had a nice relationship. And once a week, we would spend about an hour on Zoom. He would explain everything he wanted in these 3 articles a week, and he would put links into things, and everything was good. And I would come out with this article, and he was like, this is amazing. And so it was nice money. He was very happy. Everything was good. And then over lunch, he said, I've discovered this thing called ChatGPT. And I'm a programmer, I'm a coder, and I've been working with this. And I've been putting the stuff that you've been writing about into ChatGPT, and I've been giving big prompts. And basically, the articles I'm getting back are not as good as yours. They're not as good as yours. They're 95% of yours. And I'm so happy to pay you the money for what you do because you're amazing. The only problem I have with you is time. It takes me 1 hour to talk to you to get these amazing articles. And with ChatGPT, I can do it in 2 or 3 minutes. I can code it, program it, and everything. And so I'm really, really sorry, but we're going to finish our relationship. And that to me was a seismic moment because this guy really loved what I did, and I'm good at what I do. But I realized at the age of 54 that everything I've done over the last 10 years building up a business was definitely under threat. People are no longer reading. And now you have things like ChatGPT. And so people can source the information from other places. And so what am I supposed to do? And I sat there and I was a little bit depressed. And then every day, this was back in February, there was a news story about ChatGPT, how it was going to change this, how it was going to change this, how it was going to change this. And I realized that unless I did something for myself, I would be completely irrelevant and wiped out within months, really. And so I was thinking about the future, thinking about how the world is going in terms of how people are going to source their information. And I was looking at what it was that I could offer that was different to artificial intelligence, to ChatGPT and so on. And I didn't come up with a big list of things that I could offer. But in order to sort of move forward, I could put my head in the sand at 54 and say, this is the way things are and you're just unlucky and things have changed that way. Or I could see what it was that I had to offer that could potentially not outlive AI, but maybe to offer a different alternative. And so the things that I think I can offer is I'm a very good storyteller. I'm quite authentic at what I do. I don't really care that much what people think, as you said in the introduction. Thank you. And I also know some things very, very well. So I'm based in Croatia. I've been living here for 20 years now. And if I could become the person for Croatia, then that was authentic, that was a storyteller, then perhaps there was a future in that. And so looking today at the internet, it's scary as a 54-year-old to see the next day this happens and now you can do this. You get your avatar and you create things. And it's amazing what you can do now with photography, with video, just using AI. And as an older person, I look at this and go, first of all, it's terrifying how many jobs are going to be lost. But then I also feel a bit sorry for people that are buying into this, because there is such a generic aspect to this that people are now, 10 things to see and do in Dubrovnik. You can now click a video, AI can just pull this, and it's so generic. And I really, really think that there is an opportunity now moving forward, and there'll be a huge backlash against this, at least I hope so, for storytellers, for people who are local experts, who are knowledgeable, who are anti-AI in terms of what they produce. I'm not dressed particularly well tonight, as you know. I'm having a beer here. It's all good, and I'm just a genuine person who does his thing. And I believe that some people will get very tired of this perfection that is offered through AI, and so I've decided that what I need to do is to develop a brand of somebody who is a storyteller, who is authentic, who knows his subject, who is not afraid to take that subject into areas that have not been covered before, and so on. And I also have a great face for radio, as you can see. And so I realized that being a blogger is redundant, or will be in the next 1 or 2 years. I run a news portal called Total Croatian News, and you can see the views going down as people read less and less and less. And what they want to do is they want to see their news in video. So it's with a bit of reluctance I decided that maybe I have to move into the video era, which is not something I know about at all. In fact, in order to give you an idea of how inexperienced I am, it was only 3 months ago that I put together my first Instagram reel of my life. I'd always had a massive respect for people that could do Instagram reels and so on like that, and I didn't realize how easy it was because I had such a fear of technology. But I've realized that if I want to move forward, then I have to move forward with the times, take my head out of the sand, learn something new, and move forward. And what I'm realizing now is that the world is changing in so many ways. People now are taking their news in so many different ways. I'm finding TikTok to be the most amazing place to follow what's really happening in Israel and Gaza, for example. And I'm finding TikTokers or YouTubers who are on the ground, who are giving me much, much better information that I'm getting from the mainstream media. And so what that tells me is that rather than relying on the mainstream news in 2 or 3 years, people are going to be looking to local experts, niche experts who are on the ground, who have a small following perhaps, but what they're talking about is relevant and is interesting and diverse. And so what I've decided to do is to try and turn myself into a niche expert for Croatia initially, and let's see how it goes. And to develop my personal brand as being somebody who is doing something different, something maverick, something interesting, and something, if you want to know about Croatia, come to me because I'm going to show you something different. So I wrote a book called Croatia, A Survival Kit for Foreigners with Lauren Simmons. And this is like this is your guide. This is me, the brand, telling you how to survive in Croatia. Andreas, 3-4 years ago, was telling me I should get into video, and I was resisting it. But I've now recently launched a thing called 1 Minute Croatia, where I'm doing 60 seconds of very engaging content, very unpredictable content, 365 days a year, about different aspects of Croatia, things that most Croatian people have never even heard about. And this is establishing me as somebody who is an expert in the field and who is a brand. And this, I think, is the anti-AI response. And I think the more people that look at developing brands that are not necessarily mainstream, but are experts and are niche, I think this is the thing that people will get very, very tired of this generic stuff. And I think there's a big future in storytelling and in people like me, hopefully. We'll see. 8 minutes, is that okay?
That was perfect. I think you brought it to like the level of your current situation. And then it was so practical because I think a lot of people are going through what you're saying, where some people are like, yeah, like somebody just hired a writer over me, or somebody just got this video edited by AI in 2 hours. Faster than I can do it. It takes me 2 weeks. And so I think you bring up a very important sort of idea of and I work in AI, and I'm actually going to play one of my AI videos later. Stay tuned for that. But what I see is that the human element of the creativity in terms of the uniqueness for a person, a region, a storytelling, I think that could never go away. What I see, Paul, just so if I can enhance, if you don't mind, what I see is someone like yourself would be able to upload their consciousness, as to say, or their knowledge base, the way that you write or the ideas you have, into a private portal. And then that becomes what the AI can access as a reference, because nobody else has the same brain as Paul. That's what I see as more of the enhancement in
Thankfully.
terms of scale. Yes, of course, you're welcome. Scalability long term. Its knowledge base is based on real personas that people can rent. And I think that makes incredibly lucrative opportunity, because it's a franchise model. What's the word? Basically a leverage model of paying you every time somebody accesses your knowledge base. So won't go too much into it because we could talk all AI. And funny enough, several other speakers have some level of AI included. What can we say? Future of work, future of living. It's just going to happen with AI. So thank you for being on, Paul. Super appreciate what you do in terms of just being real, sharing the truth. And I'll take you off stage, but hopefully people replay this and they listen to what you said, because I think that's how you survive the AI apocalypse. Paul just gave you the rundown. Don't sleep on that. Thank you, Paul, for being on.
All right, thank you.
Cheers. So we're moving on to our next speaker here, and our next speaker is